Hello world, welcome to my channel. My name is Crystal and I've titled today's video, The Secret to Living Life Fully and Well. It's been a very long time since I've done a video, but I wanted to start out with a reintroduction to what this channel is about. And this is a new endeavor for me. So I hope to be able to share some wisdom. I hope to inspire you. I hope to learn from you and connect, just connect and share whatever I feel prompted to in the moment. What I wanted to talk about today, the secret to living fully and well. Now, I know that's a big statement, but I promise you the answer is very simple. Although it may not be easy, it is a very simple answer. The secret to living life fully and well is practice. P-R-A-C-T-I-C-E, practice. And what do I mean by that? I titled my channel True Life Practice for a reason, because this channel is going to be the space where I share stories from my life, where I share lessons that I've learned, and the practices that have helped me along the way. And I am no expert. In fact, I am a forever student, but I have learned some things that I really want to talk more about, and the field of personal development or spirituality it's huge, right? And I think it's that way for a reason, because as humans on this planet, especially right now, we are living in times of chaos and confusion, and a lot of us are waking up to the truth. And when that happens, it's like your world is turned upside down. And this week is a good example of that. I've had several conversations with people who, as a result of the US elections that happened earlier this week, they have found themselves in a place where they're very uncertain about the future and, in fact, very afraid for themselves and their families and their communities. And I really do hold space for those of you who are watching, who can really feel deeply and passionately about what's going on in the world, and yet feel really frustrated because you don't know how to change things, or you think that things are not changeable. And I felt inspired to relaunch this channel because I want to share my message of hope. And for me, this current climate that we're in is a beautiful one. It's like messy, but beautiful. And I think that's because I have cultivated a view of the world and have cultivated a view of myself that is very loving and brings me peace, And this peace that I'm talking about is a peace that's within, that I'm looking at peace not just as the absence of conflict or war, but that peace, when you're experiencing it within, you're actually tapping into your true self. You're actually able to connect with what some may call a higher power or their higher self. And when you're in touch with that peace, you have a what I consider like a cord of faith that is like the strongest thing that you could ever have, where you know that inside you're still and calm, and you have faith that the outside world, as messy and chaotic as it seems, is actually perfect as it is. And now I don't mean to say that things like war and, savagery and death and all these awful things, when they happen, that they're good things. No. What I am saying is that being at peace with the way the world is, just as it is a practice in being present. It's a practice in presence. And many of us are so caught up in the scramble of day-to-day life that we've lost our connection with that peace within. And that's why I titled this video as I did. The secret to living fully and well is in practice. True life practice. Now, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by true life practice? Practice is when we're consciously, intentionally putting ourselves in a situation or doing something to learn or to grow or to get better at, right? We're students, right? Everybody on this planet is a student of life. And sometimes life gives you some hard knock lessons. I've been there. I am a graduate of the School of Hard Knocks. That's for sure. But, the idea of practice is something that, you may relate to if you're an athlete, or maybe when you were a child and you had to play sports. Practice is very much something very common in the sports world, because the idea of it is that you acknowledge that you're starting out as a beginner. You're starting out not knowing much, not knowing anything at all, maybe, but you also want to be able to do more, do better. If you're playing a sport, let's say it's soccer, you want to get better at goal kicks. So the only way you can get better at the goal kick is by practicing it again and again. And why are we practicing again and again? We practice in repetition so that we can learn. As humans, we learn by habit, we learn by routine, we learn through memorization, we learn through trial and error. And when we do some kind of activity again and again with a conscious intention of learning and applying what we learned, If it's a goal kick, when you have done it 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, you're going to see that that goal kick is going to be of a higher, I want to say higher quality, but you're going to do better at it the longer that you practice, the more that you practice. And that's why I use the term practice, because applying that concept as if you were an athlete, if you were to apply that concept to the rest of your life, apply it to different areas of your life. Could be, practicing creativity. Could be practicing to be an artist. It could be practicing to do something that you've never done before, right? Maybe it's learning an instrument. Maybe you want to practice the piano. The only way you can get better at being a piano player is by practicing piano. So in some fields, some areas of our life, we know practice is essential to the process of mastery, right? And when I use the term mastery, I look at it as a way of looking at how we can not only tap into higher knowledge, we can express that higher knowledge. And an athlete is very disciplined in their craft, right? In practicing and learning and fine-tuning their techniques, you get better. And it's no different in the other areas of your life. So we're going to talk about practices and the idea of practice on this channel. The way I want to talk about true life practice, though, is that the practices I'm going to be sharing with you are centered around the concept of truth and honesty. And when I say truth, I mean capital T truth. And I think this video isn't going to be enough of a space to get into what that means. I'll do another video on what I mean when I say truth. But for now, let's reframe it in terms of the practice of truth in everyday life, which is honesty. Living with honesty as a practice will be what leads you to become an authentic personality and an authentic person, right? Authenticity. I sometimes have trouble with saying that word, but I love it. Authenticity is an idea that for us to be real and true to who we are, we need to be able to connect with others in a way that we feel we are our realest self, right? We always want to show up as our realest self. However, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we have worries and anxieties about what other people would think if we were to be our natural, true self. I know for me personally, I'm a naturally introverted, quiet person. And it took me many years to become more comfortable talking publicly and sharing whatever comes across my itty bitty mind. Because sometimes I think some things that I'm like, okay, I must be such a weirdo for thinking this, But I have learned that a lot of us are undercover weirdos. A lot of us are undercover weirdos, right? And I love my inner weirdo. And I love bringing my inner weirdo out into the world to play with other weirdos so that we can have a weirdo, fun, good old time. So, being your authentic self, that is the goal. That is the goal of life. If life was a sport or a game, I would say the goal is to be your authentic self, 100% all the time. And the pursuit of that, if again, we're going to be treating this like a sport, requires practice. It requires you being truthful. It requires you being honest, even when you don't feel comfortable being those things. And so this work that I do is to help others see where they are not being truthful, where they're not being honest in their communications, in their connections, in their relationships. And being honest is a fundamental piece to being authentic, right? They're kind of like two sides of the same coin. So true life practice is really about how can we show up as our most authentic self and express that authentic self with others. I really, really, really love this topic because in my years being a human on this planet, the darkest, the most loneliest times of my life, the times where I suffered with depression, major depression and anxiety, and I've even had periods of wanting to end my life because I was so miserable. Those periods were absolutely hands down the periods in my life where I felt like I couldn't be who I was meant to be, who I couldn't express myself. I felt I had to hide who I was or hide aspects of myself in my relationships. And so I would lie and tell stories that weren't true, or I would have intentions that weren't in integrity with who I really was, and now that I'm living my life today, feeling this peace that I've spoken about at the beginning of this video, I have a lot more joy in my life. I feel loved and I love life, but I feel loved by life. And I know that it's a beautiful place to be. It really is. So I welcome you to join me on my journey as I share my own true life practice with you. And together, we will learn and practice together how to be our most authentic self and look at the ways in which we've made decisions or have held beliefs or have entertained ideas that don't serve us. And this is really having to do with the mental, emotional, and physical aspects of our being, which are all related to our spiritual self, to who we are in the eyes of the divine. So stay tuned for more, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Please subscribe, like, comment, whatever you feel moved to do. I thank you. I truly thank you for watching this video and for sharing this time with me. So until next time, much love. Bye.